Hi, I'm Diane Davis, and this is Bill Weidecker. We're the Fine Homes Group at Keller Williams, and welcome to our podcast, Good Deeds Real Estate with a Mission. So, interesting times. I'm going to start with a little anecdotal stuff, and then Bill's going to take over with some stats and some trends and some New Hampshire numbers. So what we're seeing is a continuing trend of new buyers in the market and buyers who had taken a break coming back into the market. They have the sense that where our inventory is low, which makes it a seller's market technically, the climate is more friendly for reasonable negotiations like home inspections, for instance. So this weekend up in Concord, there was an open house held for a few days, over 50 parties, and half of them were either new to the market, like that day, or buyers being encouraged to be back in the market because interest rates are still palatable. I should say payment options are palatable, and and it's a more civilized market when it comes to negotiation. So that is a trend that's continuing. Message to sellers: good time to sell. As we talked about, I think last week, it's the first time in recorded history that single-family homes in the whole state went to under 1,000. That's not dollars, that's number, that's quantity. So a really opportunistic time to sell because buyers are out there and they want to buy. Okay, so talk to us about that. Talk to us about the process. There's no magic in waiting for the spring. And Bill, you have some numbers for New Hampshire and also a really interesting sort of trend report on migration from National Association of Realtors. So take it away.
Well, the New Hampshire numbers that, as you said, the song remains the same and the beat goes on. And it is really still this. We are an inventory driven market, and the market needs more inventory. I think you mentioned to me in our conversation earlier that the buyers continue to outstrip new listings coming on the market by, I forget what your number was. What is it, 120% to one or?
Yeah,
1.2 to 1. Yeah, it's a big number, and that's been the case really since 2019. Pre-pandemic, we are seeing a steady decrease in active inventory, and that by and large has created less sales in the state of New Hampshire. Yes, we did see in the fourth quarter some buy sides drop off a bit, but not much. And that was really interest rate driven. And I think we're seeing, as you mentioned with the foot traffic over the weekend, I think we're seeing buyers coming back into the market because rates have taken a dip. They were really touching 7, and now they're in the high 5s, low 6s. And so I think buyers are saying, hey, prices aren't coming down and interest rates have come down. Whether or not they come down lower, we can always refinance after we get the home. So the National Association of Realtors released an interesting report over the weekend, and that was domestic net migration. In other words, people that live in the country, where are they moving to? And for instance, Florida saw 318,000 people move into the state in 2022. Big number. Texas was in second place, and you might say, wow, where does New England stand? And so we have a top to bottom report from the top meaning, as I mentioned, just Florida and Texas, and you'd say, well, where are they moving? What states lost population? No surprise, California lost 343,000 residents, and New York was number 49 on that list. Where does New England stand? And I'll just give you a quick number. New Hampshire and Maine both were tied as a percentage, 0.6 of a percentage point increase in population. So there were over 6,000 people moved into New Hampshire last year versus the year before, and we've been steadily increasing. And Vermont was flat, 0% increase. It was a small number. I think it was 1,000 people, but statistically 0% increase. And I would just say from there, Massachusetts, which I mentioned, lost 57,000 people. They were number 46th on that list. A lot of people moved from Massachusetts, probably a lot of them here. Rhode Island and Connecticut lost population as well. And there you have it. We gained, and Maine gained. Vermont flat, Massachusetts Connecticut and Rhode Island lost population last year.
So I'd want to jump on something that you said about buyers, thinking that the interest rates have come down a bit. And so that seems more acceptable. It's also because buyers have largely been educated about options that are not 30-year fixed mortgages. And so, whether it's adjustable, whether it's a seller funded buy down, whether it's discount points, a lot of people are taking advantage of that, or at least interested in exploring whether they end up finally using one of those products or not. It's been very encouraging for buyers. And that, that started many, 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 many months ago in other states, but it's become much more acceptable and people are much more aware of it. So they really are living in the payment, not necessarily paying attention to the interest rate headline. So it's a combination of both for sure. And it's really ironic because I don't know about after this weekend, Friday and Saturday might have a net loss in population, but we have clients right now who are moving up from Florida. They love it. They explored Maine, realized that the state income tax would be a problem in Maine, and now they're focusing on Southern New Hampshire. And that, I think that has a bit to do with it as well. I think the fact that we are a state that does not have income tax is really attractive to people when so many can work from home and so many people own their own businesses. So I think that's really helped us when it comes to the New England states.
Also, no sales tax, and when you take those two into account, but you also access to good airports, highway systems to get to Boston, to get to New York City, and then access to medical. I mean, Boston is the finest medical in the world, and so people are traveling from all over the world for medical care in our region, and so I think it's important to note that. Yep,
totally agree. Well, we love it here.
That's why we live here.
Got the Red Sox tickets for this coming season, or else I'll
get it.
I'm going. Anyway, that's it. That's some awesome trends, some numbers, what we're seeing anecdotally. So as always, thanks for letting us inform you. Thanks for following us on your favorite podcast platform, and be sure to subscribe to our channel on YouTube. Thanks.